Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of the Legacy Holders in 2026. And first, I would like to give a huge thank you to everybody who supported us our first few months of our kickoff. We were able to have some amazing conversations with people, get some great perspectives on things, and have some topics to build on. We also did some community outreach stuff, which we want to continue into 2026 and, learn about other folks and what they have going on in their worlds. But today's a more special episode. We brought in some more of our legacy holders. As I mentioned before, almost every person that comes on the show will have some type of attachment to myself. I think that's what's going to keep this show genuine. These are not paid people. We're not having like doctors, lawyers, therapists. They may be in their career field, but that's not what they're being paid for. These are just true, honest, genuine folks, part of my village that we're extending out to you guys to be a part of your village as well. So I'm going to do a short introduction to everybody, and then we're kind of going to go from there. First is Rosalind. As you know, that she's our other host of the Legacy Holder. And then we have Mr. Benson, Keith Benson. Keith and I met a few years ago. We worked with each other at the Coast for United States Coast Guard, doing some things, and we stayed really great friends. We'll build on to more of how our friendship stays intact. Pretty much that we have great business connection, real estate connection. I learn a lot from him from a personal points of views when it comes to relationships and in life. I just get a more enriched perspective about things that's a little more grounded with stuff. And then the next person on this show is Mr. Ray Richardson. Ray and I have a long connection like Rossi and I. What is it, over 20?
22, almost 23 years.
22, 23 years we've been friends, but Ray and I, we've also dated and we've had a great relationship together. So shut up, Rossi. So ups and downs, but I will say 20 something years later and strong, we are like the best of friends. Another reason why I want this podcast to exist is so that we can exemplify some things that really doesn't happen. Hey, Poo-Poo, I see you in the background. So we can exemplify some things that really don't happen in our community. And we want to let, folks know that, we are capable to have certain types of relationships and friendships and network and do things. So with that, who wants to go first? Kind of give a little soft introduction outside of what I said and how you feel about coming on this podcast and what you feel like you could bring to the table. So
I'll go ahead, Niche.
Okay.
And since you were just speaking about me, like I want to say I'm honored. I'm honored to be here at this podcast. And Nisha Rossi, you already know, 23 plus years. Like I love y'all like cook food, you know what I'm saying? Like, and not only just that, it's like the build of relationships and meeting Mr. Keith, and you know what I'm saying? Like the bond. I learned a long time ago, your network is your net worth. You know what I'm saying? The people you surround yourself with, you got to hold on to them. You value the people that value you. You love the people that love you. Less means more. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
and I just, to be here to like, Niche, me and you talk offline all the time. And just, I'm super proud of you and Rossi, you know what I'm saying? And just to like see all this coming together is just amazing. And I want to be a part of it. And as long as I can and the time is available, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm Nisha's, me and Niche, I'll always love that woman.
Oh my God, we're going to get into that later on. Okay, next.
I was going to say, that's not the topic of the day.
Not the topic. But go on, Keith.
Okay. Again, like Rich, I met Tanisha. Believe it or not, it's been almost 9 years.
Wow.
Hey, really?
Yeah, 2017.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, so, and we hit it off and have just been close friends ever since. So, and our relationship, we run the gamut of talking about from personal finance to business to life, um, living, just everyday's things that are going on. So, again, I'm as well honored to be a part of you guys' network and wish nothing but success. It's already a success, that you got to this level and you have people coming on and genuinely supporting your efforts. So again, thank you.
Appreciate it.
that's what's up.
You want to say something, Rossi, before we?
Okay. Well, y'all, I don't need to really introduce myself. Again, reiterating, I've known Nisha and Ray for Trey will be 23 in August. So that's why I say 20. That's how I know how long we've been known each other.
Based off the kid.
I remember, because Ray was at the hospital when after Trey was born. Excuse me. I appreciate, Nisha, I appreciate you. We are learning and living life in new ways together. I'm glad to have you as my sister. Couldn't ask for a better one. Mr. Keith, I appreciate you. Again, I'm going to say this on camera. Thank you for taking care of my sister. And being there, being that ear. I know her thought processes is like she'll think about something and she needs somebody to bounce things off of. And your wisdom and your guidance, I can tell how it's helped her along the way. Rich.
Yo.
I'm not gonna fuss you out. I love you.
All day long.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what you got going on.
Thank you.
Proud that it's something big to be able to say, I have my home.
Yeah.
This is my home. I'm not paying for somebody else's home. I choose to rent because I don't want to pay for all the stuff that goes along with owning a house right now.
So, I clearly understand there's a lot in
my construction issue.
Exactly. I've witnessed all of that. I'm good for right now.
I just thank God, and I just, I like I was telling one of my partners, he's like, Ray, you kind of inspired me. I said, that's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? Reach one, teach one. You know what I'm saying? And like, I don't know though. I don't know, Mr. Keith, we done worked together, did work, you know what I'm saying? Like wisdom, knowledge, you know what I'm saying? I'll pick his brain, he'll pick my brain. I try to take that, I learned I'd rather be a penny wise than a dollar short. You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
I like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and I forgot to say, I got my youngest legacy keeper back here. What? What did you say?
Nothing.
He's my ad lib person. If you watched the last two videos, that's the voice that you heard in the background, giving us a 15-year-old's perspective of how a partner should be.
And the 1% of me.
Oh yes, and the 1%. What the 1% was.
We're gonna get to that, and let's kind of. Oh, were you finished? Okay. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Let's kind of start a little conversation. Ray, you kind of. I call Ray Rich, so I might go back and forth between Ray and Rich, just to let y'all know. So
same guy.
Yeah. So you kind of brought something up about the village and how you met Mr. Keith and you learned from him and stuff like that. So our first episode, we focused on redefining the village. And, the village that we had is completely different than the village that we have for our kids, you know, and like, and then me and Keith, we have this conversation with the village that he had, and what he was able to provide his kids is completely different, you know, in retrospect. So my concept was, how do we redefine this village, just to get your guys' opinion on how society is right now. I mean, you're a dad of two, Ray. Keith, you're a dad of two. We're all grandparents except for Ray. So and he's fine with it. He's perfectly fine with it. But I bring that up to say your perspective changes a lot when you want to understand what your village is, right? So if you watch the first show, we talked about how we had big mamas and grandmas and great grandparents, and now you look at our kids, and I'm not saying that my kids don't have their grandparents, but their grandparents are just younger, right? They're not like, they're still working. It wasn't like grandma could sit at home. It's completely different. And then like with Rossi and I being grandparents, grandmas, it's really different because we're even younger. And then Keith, you're a grandpa, you know, and then, you know, I see how you and, you know, you're a wife. Pause real quick. We try not to say names. So if you want to give a story, we try not to say names. I'm not going to say, you know, her name. So, and even when we want to do similarities, we don't bring names up. So, you know, I see how you guys grandparent, which is completely different than how I grandparent, but you give me that optimistic look to say, you know, when I get to that point of where you guys are in your age, and if I'm still having grandkids, that's something like that I want to be able to do. So either one of you, I don't know really who wants to go first. It's up to y'all. But like, how do you see redefining that village now? Like, to give your kids or your grandkids what it is that we had or you had, but with the tools that we have right now to work with, especially with social media and the internet playing a huge role into how people are parenting or living life.
Well, I'll go ahead and jump in. I just think for me having a fresh, about to be 2-year-old, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have a big gap. I have a 17-year-old and a 2-year-old. So it's like two total different dynamics, you know what I'm saying? So it's like my 17-year-old, it's a whole different conversation. We're talking about SATs, ACTs, girls, and this, and how to move in direction. And 2-year-old, we Coco and Paw Patrol, you know what I'm saying? So it's night and day, but it starts home. It starts at the home front. I think our biggest issue, to hit on what you were saying, Nisha, is we don't have the grandmas, you know what I'm saying, the big mamas like we had before. Like, I think in culture, like social media, it's a gift and a curse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It makes the world smaller, but then also, people don't socialize the way we used to. You take away, like, I look at my 7-year-old, I'm like, hey son, hey Junior, hey, how you doing? I'm on the game. I'm on, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, how you doing? I text more with him than communicate verbally, and I'm his father. You know what I'm saying? But I say that to say, I had to figure out a different way to approach him with that. And the way society right now is, younger children with the content creators, the TikTok shops, and everything that's coming up now, we as older, the generation before, you know, the millennials and all that, we're not, we look at stuff differently. We can have a conversation. I just told one of my coworkers, I said, hey, you ever go and talk to a woman, just meet a woman and just have a conversation, have coffee with her if you're interested in her? Oh, no, I'm a DMer. I'm a DMer. I wasn't brought up with that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's difficult sometimes, but it's also, technology is a good thing, but it could also, it makes the world so much smaller. And I think the biggest issue I noticed, and I'm just speaking for my 17-year-old, is that kids nowadays, they get more pressure. It's everybody's watching. You get into a fight or this, that, and the third, the camera's out. They don't care. Back in the day, it was Oh, let's go in the locker room, this, that, and the third. Everybody in school knew about it, but it was hush hush, nobody telling. Now, everybody knows it's on social media. You're going to have me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever. It's difficult, but I think, hit on what you were saying, Nish, that it starts home. You have to, us as parents, grandparents, whatever, have to figure out a way to communicate with our children and get it across. Like, we love you, we there, and we have to learn along with them. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Yeah.
my take on it. Yeah, really.
Okay. What about you, Keith?
I think Rich is right on with what he's saying. It does start at home, and it's obviously it's a different generation and how we as parents raise our children now, and the children are more responsive. Uh, Even my parents were late having children, so I had older parents having babies because my mother for years was told she could not have children, and so they adopted a child. And and just to continue that story, they adopted a child, and then all of a sudden she had 7 children, naturally born.
Wow.
Oh, bless her heart.
Yeah. So I have older parents, and my parents, my last parent died just a couple of years ago. So my parents got up into their later years. So I had them a long time. My father passed at 88, and my mother at 91. But they were very stern. They raised us very strict, and not saying that's the way to do it, but it's a balance of the good. Let's call it the 90s, 2000 children versus the 50s and 60 kids, and how we introduce them to life. So I think we have to, in today's time, I believe we have to be more reactive and very close to our children and understand what they're doing and where they're going and who their friends are, because I think is where a lot of influence happens there outside of the home versus in the house. And that's where I think we lose a lot of our children to the outside.
So,
Okay.
okay, I hear what you're saying, and it makes me think of a helicopter parent in a way. Like, I don't want to be a helicopter parent if I don't have to. Like,
Mhm.
I don't want to have to be hovering over my child, watching everything they do all the time. Yes, I know who his friends are. I know where he goes. I know who he talks to. So, how do you think, what do you think the balance would be for that?
I don't think there's really.
You get what I'm asking?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Go on, Keith.
I hear you, not a helicopter parent, and you know who your children, their friends are. And I guess, and I go back to the way when we grew up, also, it was pretty much the Black neighborhoods. And so those neighborhoods that in a lot of ways are gone now. So we have Black, white, Latino, which is good in this sense too. But back in the day when we were out playing, you knew you were going to be able to Jerry, Keith, or Tanisha's house, and Tanisha's parents and my parents all knew each other. So, and, we had that closeness there. It was identified. You knew where they were, even though you didn't know they went there, but you could pick up the phone and say, well, Keith usually hangs out at Jerry's house or whatever. And, and you could call the parent and know where they are. So it was just that, just knowing your kids and their friends. And that's what I won't say gotten away from, because even my kids. Now, again, I have 2 sons. One's 28 and one's 37, big age difference. And I asked my son, even when he was in high school, Keith, what did one of his best friends, Dante. I said, so what is Dante doing? And he gives me this, I don't know. It's always, I don't know. When I was in school, right up through college, the kids, the big thing when the report cards came out, you're on the school bus, everybody asked, okay, what did you make in such and such?
Yeah.
Yep.
And you ask them that, I don't know. I said, what? How you don't know? Y'all you're in the same classes, but they don't talk about life situations, just life things anymore. Everything is just about what's on TikTok, what's in the movies, and they're somewhat removed from just the closeness that we had at one time.
Let me throw something out there because I always like to do the double-edged sword because we keep saying this at home, but when I was in grad school, I did a paper and we spend 80% of our time in school.
Mm-hmm.
We spend 80% of our time in school and parents spend 80% of their time at work. So that 20% is really at home. And now that goes back to my business aspect where I said the smallest thing yields the largest reward, which is that 20% of being at home would be more of a input onto what happens with the kids. But in this instance, I wanted us to focus on the 80%. We're at work, the kids are at school. So now that balance of what goes on in school, and I want to bring school up because schooling is different. When we went to school, and I'm going to speak for Ray and I, because we went to school up north, we had the breakfast program before school. We was happy to go there. We seeing our friends, we didn't see that financial breakdown in society of like who got free lunch, who got this, because New York did it for all. Everybody was in there, whether you lived in the rich neighborhood, the poor neighborhood, whatever. We all was in there. And the crazy thing is when we were at the lunch table, we all liked the same thing. Rich kids, poor kids, Indian kids, white kids, Chinese kids, black kids. We love the icy and the thing and popping it open. We all did the same thing, right? Now you fast forward to school now, as my kids are going through elementary school or as they went through, like they don't have those programs, before and after school lunch programs, the summer camp, school was open all year long. You stop and go get your breakfast. And I think, and I don't know if other schools did it, so Rossi, I'll let you chime in a minute, but I think New York has something right there if that was just a northern thing, because that forced us to come out the house. Like, Ray, like my grandparents, like, you going to school for breakfast? Like, you're going to, and then we saw our friends and it forced us to go outside. Why? Because our parents had to work, right? So, I mean, if you two could give us your input, like on whatever, like how things were done there, I think that the education system plays a pivotal role too to how these kids are raised, being that they spend more time and unfortunately they mold the kids a little more. Because think about it, we don't send papers to school telling them how to sit there, how we want our kids to be raised. They send papers home talking about your kid need to do this, and this, and we abide by it, right? So that's my 2 cents on having a double-edged sword in that conversation.
With the school stuff, like in Texas, I remember my mama filling out the form. I remember filling out this form for my kids when they were in school, to find out if you get free or reduced lunch. And we had these little cards. It was a blue card. Mm-hmm. If you got free lunch, you knew who got free lunch because we all had that little blue card. They didn't start doing the free breakfast for everyone until I think it was like right after COVID in Texas.
Wow, that's crazy.
But we always had the summer meal program through the school when they did breakfast and lunch. And I remember walking from the apartment complex to the elementary school, every morning we had to be there at 8 to eat breakfast and we had to be there at 11:45 for lunch. So we did have those types of programs, but now the kids here now, they don't get excited about that stuff because they'll just go in there and warm and throw some ramen noodles in a bowl and throw it in the microwave, and that's
Yeah.
it. They don't care about getting up and going outside. They get all their stimulation from these devices.
I think it's a slippery slope when it comes to education in the home because it's like I said in the hit on with Niche and Keith, all of us are saying the same thing. So me and Niche being from New York, this is 95, 94. Like we that's all we know. The lunchroom was the meeting spot. That was the
Oh yeah.
other kids. It was like, yo, we gonna meet breakfast. What time you got lunch? We didn't care. Billy Bob, Tito, or Randy had free lunch. They paid. We didn't care because, like she said, it was unison in our eyes as a child. But now and this what goes back to what we were saying earlier about how social media and everything is instant gratification. You know what I'm saying? Everything's like, oh, and Rossi, what you just said. Now I don't need to go to breakfast. I got noodles and this at the house. I eat this. I'm good. I ate breakfast already. I'm chilling. I'm gonna be on social media or Snapchat and this, that, and the third. Our parents, they the community is what's really lacking
Yeah.
when it comes to that. Because it's like the community you need to be in this house for the lights, the street lights come on. You know what I'm saying? They
And
don't
everybody knew it.
everybody.
Well,
You
you
know,
know,
he said you had a neighbor, uncle this one, uncle that one, auntie this one. You couldn't, a mile block radius. Everybody knew every child, every friend, and you go to that house. Ain't you this one's daughter? Ain't you this one's son? What you doing over here? It's 9 o'clock, boy. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't do that no more. And to hit on what you're saying, Niche, with the 80% because we work so much, and now the dynamic is different. The parents are working and 10-hour shifts, 8-hour shifts, and time to get home, they're tired. The child's like, oh, this, that, and the third. And you don't, it's not like you don't want to do it, but you're like, hey, I got this going on, but come here, let's see what we can do. But social media and the devices, technology, like I said earlier, it's a gift and a curse. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a great thing, but then if used improperly, a lot of kids, I know children. Perfect example. My 7-year-old, he got a friend that doesn't speak at all. Like he just doesn't socialize. And I try to tell him, my son, like, hey, talk to him. Like, he's like, Dad, he plays his game, Xbox 360, and my son is outgoing. My son is a splitting image of me when it comes to people. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's just weird. It's weird, but it's different, and it's an adjustment for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So that just at
I
80%.
think the social media devices and all the technology has become an unintentional filler. Because I remember having conversations, like actually having conversations with my mom, actually having conversations with my auntie. Like we would talk, we would sit down and we would eat and we would have we would just talk to each other. And now, because a lot of us are busy with work, on top of that, running businesses, trying to raise kids, and that the devices, the video games, the different social media platforms become a filler for having those conversations. So families aren't really talking anymore,
I,
and the kids are using those things to fill in not being able to have those conversations. I don't know if that makes sense what I'm
no,
saying.
I totally agree with you, Rossi. I totally agree with you in so many ways because I've experienced that. Like my 7-year-old, not only him and friends of his, what social media does now, if you have a question for an adult, you can find it on Google. You can find it on Chat GPT. You can find it on this. A lot of these kids, they don't know a sense of direction. They're not talking to the mother or talking to the father. They're like, oh, just go look up Chat GPT or go look up this Google, go to YouTube, and you'll be able to figure it out. And they're getting adult information at a young age that they don't understand yet. You know what I'm saying? Like I was teaching my son about credit, And he was like, "Oh yeah, Dad." I'm like, "Yeah, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, 3 different credit bureaus. Trying to help him understand this." He's 16. He's like, "Yeah, ChatGPT said this, said that," and I'm like, "Yeah, but ChatGPT is going to give you the generic answer." You know what I'm saying? It's what you do with it and how you work it. That's where, well, I mean, when I always say it's a gift and a curse, because yeah, the knowledge is out there, but it's the proper applied knowledge there. You know what I'm saying? Because you can say all day long, "Oh, my credit is good," and okay, what's your credit score? My credit score is 358. Okay, that's not, but they don't know that. ChatGPT, and you can always change that. That's the thing about technology. You could go and write something up and say, "Oh, this is good," or "This is bad." Majority of stuff is not bad, but it's possible. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. That's why I always say it's a gift and a curse. Like my experience dealing with a 17-year-old at this present moment with technology, it's difficult, but I learned a lot of things with it. And like me and Nish was talking earlier about, like, he also teaches me a lot of things with it to where I'm like, "Oh, I could use this to market my business better." You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's a gift and a curse in my eyes, personally.
So, Keith, I want to get your opinion because the three of us, we were raised as we were being taught to be young adolescents and adults. It was as technology was there.
Mhm.
So our parents was familiar with it, and it just went woof as we started aging. When you were raising kids, like, it was weird because like when the beepers and stuff came out, and then my dad's like, "Here's a beeper. This is what it's used for." And then we take beepers and figure out how to code, flip the beeper upside down, say hello, and
messages.
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
4-3, I
So,
love you. You're right.
so like, and not just from raising kids, but when we were in the, I'm gonna call it the war room before we started talking,
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about like your wonderful degrees that are behind you and
Mm-hmm.
how you were learning then, and then you're applying the same knowledge. It's like, is that toolbox that you was given to raise your kids and to develop life? And this is going to bleed into some other things. Like I said, we kind of want to do a quick blip of 2025, and then we're going to go more in depth of what the first in-depth episode of 2026 would be about. But that toolbox that you was given, how do you redefine or what's that word we used in IOD when they messed up the tooling? That's how you know we work together.
Right.
Reconfigure the tools in
Yes.
order to get it to adapt to what we needed it to work with, at that time. I'm talking about that brake press. But
Yeah.
but yeah, like how do you adapt to that? And I think that's what all of us are having an issue with. But I think with you, it goes more in depth because you have that. I don't want to use the word old school because it's not old school. It's give me a word, guys, that we can use for
Um,
you have
it's,
that knowledge.
it's
Like,
a different era, but
yeah.
different. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like you said, it's not. You don't say old school because now the definition of old school is so broad.
Us, we're the old school right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I get called OG and Unc all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever. Like I'm in my mid-40s. I'm not that old. You know what I'm saying? Like, so.
But let's get Keith's opinion on it, like how he navigated through that and with raising kids.
I to be honest with you, I think I tried to, in a lot of ways, duplicate it how I was raised. It really was. It boiled down to that, and I was so fortunate. Um, Came from a 2-parent household. Still doesn't guarantee you success by no means. My father worked outside the home. My mother never worked outside of the home, so I was raised very, very, very traditional. Everything was somewhat time sensitive. You guys were talking about school breakfast and lunch, and at the school where I left home, my mother got up. If it was 6 o'clock in the morning, she got up and had breakfast ready for all, including my dad, all 8, 9 of us right there, you know. So how she did it, I don't know. And so everything was on time. Um, it was set by time, you know, even the afternoons, on the weekends. And like what Ray said, you know, we played in the neighborhoods, but there's, and like I said earlier, there's 3 or 4 neighbor houses we played at. And, you know, when the lights went out, you knew it was time to go home. One of the guys houses where we played basketball, the dad flashed the floodlights. That just meant go, you know, you drop the ball wherever it is and get out of their yard, you know. So everything was set by time and a discipline. So I somewhat tried to copy that, but yet gave my kids enough room to grow and experience life in the more modern way than I was raised. So, and you know, I wasn't their friend either, but and as Tanisha know, I have a real close relationship with both my kids, even to this day. You know, um, 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 one calls his mother more than me. Kevin is my son, so to speak, and Keith Jr. is Ava's son. That's you know, I'll come home anytime Keith Jr.'s on the phone, talk to his mama, where she'll ask me, "You talk with Kevin?" "Oh yeah, we've just been talking for a couple hours a day," you know. So it's I don't think anything was intentional, but just try to copy pretty much the way I was raised, give them the room to grow and mature, but yet I did have a certain standard, you know, we were going to live by in the house, and where it was going out or um, um, I didn't judge it. I didn't necessarily say, okay, who you could or couldn't associate with, but I did ask a lot of questions. Who are your friends? What are y'all doing here? What are you doing there? What does Dante, mom and daddy do? I mean, you sort of get into the business, but you want to know where they are and what they're doing. You know?
Okay. All right. So you're pretty much proving the point that we can still use old tools incorporated with the new tools and kind of raise our kids and redevelop. Like I'm saying, redefine the village and redefining certain concepts and how we are raising our legacy keepers. Well, I want to I'm gonna go through a few more topics that's going to lead up into the next episode. We talked about legacy keepers. Rossi and I we kind of got our input on there real quick, so we're gonna get Keith and Ray's input. So legacy keepers are your kids, and we dived in it on a little bit, but I had conversations with my children, and I pretty much asking them, "Am I doing a good job as a mom?" And my feedback from my youngest was, Mom, I think sometimes what you go through in life affects the village that you want me to have. Because as adults, we don't realize the relationships we either sever or develop affects how our kids' village is designed, right? So that kind of hit home. And that's with me not talking to certain family members for whatever reasons. I have some things within myself I need to work on to better improve upon. But then I had a sit down conversation with my stepson, who, even though I'm not married to his father anymore, we have a great relationship. He comes home for the holidays. If he needs me, I'm there. We have that conversation, and he lets me know that he's very grateful for the things that I have done. I have 2 more episodes coming up where I'll interview my 2 oldest kids next week. My son, who just gave me my beautiful grandson 6 months ago, and then we'll have that input on how he feels with him being my oldest legacy keeper, and how maybe what I have done, as a parent. So if your child was to sit down with you today, how would they grade you as a legacy holder? And do you think you have done a great job into making sure that they keep your legacy going? And that's why I call them legacy keepers. And then once they have kids, they become legacy holders. And then depending on how we sit in the conversation, you're either going to be a legacy keeper or a legacy holder. So we kind of want to keep the tapings like a little short, so that way we don't get lost in the sauce. So we'll kind of like do this one, and then will lead into the next taping. So who want to go first? Keith or Ray? And you got 5 minutes, Rich, if you go.
I'm gonna time him. Let me turn this timer on.
That's good questions. I got a lot, I've been through some stuff. Go ahead, Keith, do your thing, man.
Okay. I think I'm pretty certain they would say that I was a good father, a good parent to them. I expected a certain level of respect and discipline, and I think they pretty much abided by that rules and regulation. Now that I have a grandchild, they're quick to tell me that I am totally different with my grandchild, the way I raise her and what she does. And they're quick to say anything she wants to do is good to go. But I think that's just grandparenting. We give them the world. We love them and pass on that passionate to them. But I guess when our children are coming along, we're in the moment. We're trying to provide for them, make sure they're good, raised, safe, get them educated, and get them to the workforce. And that's what they always say. We used to say, go to school and get a job and get a good job so you can go to work. And so now we don't necessarily say that because we're also pushing entrepreneurship. Not going to get off on that right now, but I think they would say that I was successful in raising them.
Now, Rich, you got two perspectives. One can't talk right now, but he gonna say you a great daddy because he got all the toys.
That's gonna be real. Keep it short with this one because for me, like the 17-year-old, he will be like a 2-year-old. I'm his world. He right now, as long as I give him Paw Patrol, he's fine. But my 7-year-old, I would say, because we've had a brief conversation about this, and one thing I've said to him about this is, and I tell this to everybody, is nobody got a tech manual or a book on how to be a perfect parent,
Yeah.
And, not to, hit home, go in deep with it, but he's in Maryland. I'm in Virginia. The dynamic is tough, but I make the best of it. So my thing is communication is key with us. He would say, Dad, I think you would probably say you did a great job for what you was working with. You know what I'm saying? And we've had this conversation. And I think also that it's children do what they see.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave.
And I think that's a great way to kind of end this this episode because part 2 is going to be about the last 1, 2, 3, 4 videos that we recorded. I kind of did shut up, Rossi. We had some candid conversations with some folks about life, relationships, friendships, and everything. So it kind of talked about gender roles. And this all bleeds into the same thing, like being legacy holders, legacy keepers, redefining the village, getting a good foundation on what we are building life upon, right? There's no book, but we all got a roadmap that we are trying to follow. So our next follow-up episode, we're gonna, while we take our little break, and gives you and Keith some time to focus on gender roles, expectations, the ones that are unspoken and the ones that we need to have conversations about. I can't wait to talk about this next part. What is the top 1% of men? Where are y'all? And what is a qualification to be? No. Part two. Go get your other drink ready, right? Is independence an attitude for females, right? And then I did something called Pimp My Legacy, and I was very passionate about it. I came up with it out the blue. And Pimp My Legacy stands for purpose, intent, maturity, and perspective. These are some values that you should walk into any relationship, regardless whether it's love, friendship, and everything. But all this falls under the umbrella of love and legacy. And when we were in Texas, that's kind of what we kind of built our taping off of, was love and legacy. And I said, Rossi, it's not really just about you and that person being in a relationship. I went outside and talked about how when you fall in love with a person, the outside that has to deal with it. And in this example, Ray and I, the fact that you and I fell in love with each other, I got my sister right there. You know what I'm saying? And then how that relationship, you know, is fostered 20 something years later, and how, you know, you fall in love with me and then you get to meet Mr. Keefe, and then anybody else, you know, that you sat there. Like, the true definition of love and legacy falls way beyond the two people who are in love. And I think that we don't understand our purpose and our intent when we're walking into these friendships or relationships. So I want to close this episode out on that, and we're going to pick up part 2 on love and legacy, and we'll get you the two of yours perspective on some of these topics. And I think love and legacy is going to be a real build upon thing, because there's so many different topics that, you know, fall into it depending on how you want to work it. So I just want to say I appreciate you guys for joining in on the first 2026 episode of The Legacy Holders, and we look forward to part 2. Thank you.
All right.
Having us.
All right.
All right.